Hi, my name's Ben and I like to talk about video games. Today we're going to change things up by talking about video games. Shocking, I know. Narita Boy is an action platformer game. If you're anything like me, you're probably asking what Narita is, so let's get that out of the way quickly. Narita is a city in Japan, and the Japanese influence is a layer of this game's aesthetic. The style that I would say Narita Boy goes for would be called Japanese-inspired 80s techno rock. With a style that sounds like random words pulled out of a hat, you'd think that it'd be all over the place, but Narita Boy really pulls this aesthetic off. And before we get into the good stuff with the game, I better lay the groundwork for what this game is even about. You play Narita Boy, I think, who has been trapped in the digital realm, or I think you're trapped, and you have to fight some evil dude named Him, no relation to Powerpuff Girls. Him has attacked the realm for some reason, and it's up to you to stop it by unlocking the memories of the creator of this digital realm. If it seems like I'm not really sure what I'm talking about, well first, yeah, but Narita Boy sorta has a story problem. I found it very hard to follow along in moment-to-moment situations with exactly what was going on. Narita Boy's narrative issue isn't a simple one either. The story can't just be written off by saying, oh, none of the characters are interesting, or there's no character motivation or anything like that. The world has been fleshed out, and this actually causes one of the game's biggest problems for me. Almost every character you run into has to constantly explain some lore, or some reason why the world works the way it does, with jargon that you have to figure out on your way throughout the game. It might not be so bad if it wasn't every character all the time. Objectives get explained this way too, so to figure out where you need to go and what you need to do, you have to try to decipher what onsens and stallions are in this world. Keys and upgrades are also given cool names in this world, so I was surprised when I got a floppy disk I actually met whatever goal I was trying to reach. There are two parts of this game's story, the digital realm and the creator's memories that give more backstory. The memories tell you a story in a way that doesn't feel like an info dump from an extra, like how it's done in the digital realm. You're given a story that feels more emotional there, and one that feels personal. It adds to the mystery behind this digital realm. You start to ask questions, and it draws you in to find more answers. Who is the creator? Why did he create this digital realm? Why does he look like the dude from Disco Elysium? The strongest aspect of this game is pixel art, which had some backgrounds and animations that audibly made me go, whoa. Whether it was the crumpled ruins of the digital realm or a pixelated forest, the background artwork always gives the player a pleasant view. The pixel art team really put in some work here, and it shows. Goofy animations amongst praying and seeing Narita Boy power up to go Super Saiyan show expressive movement while also being lean animations that don't need too many frames to show what's going on. I mean, look at this dance. You know there were some sleepless nights for this team to make sure Narita Boy had some fucking moves. The last thing I want to say about the visual style is actually a negative point, but this kinda goes back onto the story. While I do appreciate this goofy dance, it's a perfect representation of how fucked up the tone can be in this game. One second you'll be looking at the goofy monk guys doing their thing, and the next minute you'll be watching people of the exact same religion preach about their way of life and how they love the digital realm and jerk off to binary or something. I don't know, like I said, I had a hard time following along. I think some people who pick up this game will find the tone fitting for the world created here, but I think there will be more people who will agree that it doesn't mix too well. I guess we need to talk about the thing that people actually tend to play games for, the gameplay. Like I said earlier, this is an action platformer, which means that you're going to jump on some platforms sometimes, but the largest section of the gameplay pie will be devoted to combat in this game. Unless you count dodging enemies and jumping over enemies platforming, but I don't like to look that deeply into categorizing my games or else everything is just a weird rhythm game when you think about it. You got a light attack and some heavy attacks that recharge over time, and a dodge that officially makes this game a Souls-like now. You can unlock new stuff along the way, like a shoulder ramming move and the ability to anime charge. This is where you scream in the air to gain more power. All these add together to create a combat system that's varied and fun at times. That's right, sometimes it's fun. There are issues with the combat that would take too long to fully explain, but I can brush over some small topics. Enemies are damage sponges, making fights feel way too long, even in early stages against your first zombies. Unless you use the shotgun, fights will take forever in the early game. Don't expect to get used to those heavy attacks either, because animation timings never make those heavy attacks feel worth it. I stand by what I said earlier about the animations being great, but their length makes the frame data in this game feel off in combat. There are also inconsistencies with certain mechanics. The dodge I mentioned earlier sometimes can and can't go through enemies, and the game will magically decide what direction you're in after a charge, so don't expect to know where your attack is going to go after it. Some hits also register differently at different times, and you get what I'm getting at here. This game would be frustrating, but Team 17, the devs of the game, implemented an overly generous checkpoint system, so you pretty much never go too far back to retry the fight, and there's very little consequence to dying. But when the game mechanics decide to work the way you feel they should, and you're given a good mix of enemies in a decent arena, the game can genuinely have some fun fights. just expect to have to jump through a couple hoops for it. If you do pick up this game, be prepared to have to run to different rooms to get to the location you're intending to go. Every time you go to a new area, there's always a door blocked off and you gotta go somewhere else to get the key, and to get the key you gotta do 3 things, and once you get the key you gotta go to the other key, and the whole time you're backtracking through the same space. Luckily, the pixel art holds up for multiple viewings, but this issue is a huge problem with the level design. Just because I have to run around this map to different rooms doesn't mean I can't see through how linear this game really is. I do want to give a last point that ends on a positive note. The music in the game is good. Not every song stands out and is a complete banger, but they always fit the mood and the style that this game is going for. The menu song is amazing, by the way. Voice work in this game, well, could use some work. For example, every time you die, you hear a really ugly "Rest in Soul." If that was annoying to hear right now, imagine how you're gonna feel about it after you just died to frustrating mechanics. There I go being negative again. I think this is gonna come off as me thinking Narita Boy is a bad game, but I can't bring myself to say it's bad. This game has personality, and I can feel the love that was put into this game by its designers. Unfortunately, we don't buy $25 games because they have heart or something. I'm gonna give this game a C-, or a 3 out of 5, depending on whether or not you've seen my last videos and you care about consistency. If this game interests you, I would recommend picking it up on sale. For real though, when you get the chance, look up that menu theme. Or you know what, how about we just check that out now?